Hi folks, Mike Darnell with MTM Custom Tackle Boxes up here in Olympia, Washington. I build offshore tackle boxes, and the reason I decided to do this was I did my fair share of offshore fishing, mostly down to San Diego and then some up here for tuna. In the beginning, 25-30 years ago, I would go out on the boats and wouldn't have all the really nice gear, but I noticed on the long range trips to 7 to 10 days, the guys that would get on board, mostly the local guys down there, man, they had just the most beautiful and nicest equipment you could imagine, and I'm guessing $5,000 to maybe $8,000-9,000 worth of really nice gear that they had. Then they had some decent tackle boxes. There's a company out there, not going to name the name, but they built a plastic box, and to me, looking at it, it was really cheap in comparison to what these guys' tackle box was. And then I saw some things that the guys were doing to their boxes that even made them look cheaper, just a way of fixing some things that would help it. And one of the things that I saw right out of the gate with it was that the guys were adding rod holders to the side of their box. Some of them came with them, but they did come with them. They were really cheap. They were just a real thin aluminum, and they were basically screwed into the side of the box. And here was this, $1,200, $1,500 rod setup sitting in this rod rack, and another one right behind it with a really, really cheap setup looking. And I thought, man, that doesn't do those rods and this guy's equipment justice. So I decided, well, I can make something a little bit better there. And then I also noticed that all the guys were taking the bottom of their boxes, because their boxes were all flat, setting flat down. Most of them were setting on the rail. If you didn't get a rail spot, that means you had to set it down on the floor. So that they were setting, and of course they wanted their boxes to be up off of the floor and or up off of the metal rack. So these guys were screwing a little 1x2 or a 2x2 onto the bottom, just some piece of pine or fir or something that got in, and it just really looked gaudy, and I was going, wow, that just looks so cheap. And and then I saw a couple of wood tackle boxes that were on there, and all the wood tackle boxes I saw were all plywood. And in a marine environment, unless it's treated very, very well, plywood doesn't do very well at all out there. So I've been built a couple of boats in my life, and know what kind of wood does really well. And if most of you out there, boaters, been out on the water and stuff, and you see there's most of the rails and stuff and really high-end boats are all built with teak. Kind of crazy, but when I decided to do this, I decided I was going to build it out of teak. Probably one of the most expensive woods out there, but then again, I wanted to build something that would last forever. Came up with a little slogan for the company, and it's called, "This is your grandson's tackle box." That being said, I had to build something that could live up to that. So, teak's one of the oiliest woods in the world. Go to any sort of charter boat fishing trip, and the rails on them, almost all of them are teak. They've been on there 30 years. Yes, they're all beat up and stuff, but they still hold up really, really well. So I decided to build out of teak. The next thing I decided to do was, if you're gonna do fasteners, and you're gonna be in a marine environment, you wanna do 316 stainless steel. The best stainless steel for a marine environment. Holds up the best, least amount of rust, just weathers the best that there is. So every piece of hardware, every screw, every nut, every bolt in this tackle box is 316 stainless steel. The only thing that is aluminum is the rod holders. I had these rod holders custom built. They're T6 aluminum. They're heavy duty rod holders themselves. They're made custom for that. There are thumb screws. There's 4 thumb screws on each side that you can unscrew them. If you decide that you don't want to have the rod rails on there. If you want to have it just in the boat and doing a couple-day trip or a one-day trip or something, then you can take those off. Another thing I noticed was that I talked to a guy on a big long-range trip, and he had an idea, and I really liked it, so I decided to incorporate it into my tackle boxes. And when you're fishing, we all know that, especially if you're on a hot bite, a tuna bite or something, you get out there, you break off. Pretty easy to break off on a lot of stuff, and when it's hot and heavy, you really want to get back to it. So I came up with a leader dispenser. So there's 8 holes in the top of this box because there's 8 leader holders in the lid of the box. Now, I did some research on these things. I grabbed as many as I could. Most of the leader spools are either a 1/2 inch diameter on the inside, or they're 5/8 diameter on the inside. So I adapted it for 4 1/2 inch and 4 5/8. They also fit the bigger spools like this. But they all come up and they come in and they come out of the top, and they stay out there. So you label them what size line that you want, and for a special trip, it will come with a leader spool thing to let you know which one you want to do. And then when you're fishing, then you get out there, and let's say you're on a 50-pound bite of tuna or something, and you're ready. You need a leader real quick. Instead of going and getting in your tackle box and getting a spool out and pulling it out and doing the whole thing, doing that, you just reach over, you grab a spool like that, you pull off what you want, you bite it off, you go ahead, you tie, you get to moving. So it makes things a lot easier, and everything stays nice inside the top of the box. Okay, so looking at the inside of the box, you've got your leader spools up above, and you do have the elastic bands up on the top. I think it's going to be nice for keeping maybe some big pieces of paper or something, or some pictures or whatever you want, and then maybe some steel leader. You can set all that behind here. Have the top of the box right here. I do have, in this case, 4 big nomads sitting in here for trolling for your wahoo, your tuna stuff. Have those in here because they're a little bit big to fit into the where the jig holders are at. But my idea was I built 2 boxes, and I call these day boxes. So when you're out fishing, we'll know you break off, you got something in your hand, you just need to put it away. You don't want to throw it in your box because you're fishing. This is open. You can throw stuff in here, and you just use it all day long like that until you're ready to do. And then when you're done and you're ready to put stuff back away for the evening, the bite's over, you're having a cold beer, it's ready to go. You just grab your box, your lid, you lift it up, and then you start putting all your stuff away, and it goes right back in on top. Now, as a lot of offshore tackle boxes are, I also built it to hold lots of different types of jigs. So I have right back here in the back, I have some bombs, some wahoo bombs in here, and they stay nice and dry because they're underneath everything. And then here I built these 3 specific slots for your big trolling lures, big feathers, things that you're going to need a little more room for. And also they all come out. Everything comes out if you need to take it out. A big marauder there for trolling also too. But everything is set in the inside in there, and it stays nice and dry. And on this side, same thing. This is where I keep all my jigs, my flat fall jigs, my big Salis jigs, but everything sits down inside and everything's nice and thick, and you don't get a lot of swaying back and forth. One of the things I was talking to the guys is they didn't like the other boxes that their lures swung back and forth like this, and they cracked the paint on them. So I built them so that everything has its own little slot to go in. So and then I had decided, you know, I need to make it as watertight as possible, which took a little bit of thought. But then I decided to put a 1/4 inch lip, as you may, around it, so that when you shut it and you snap your thatch here, it's damn near impossible for it to get water in here. Now I live in the Pacific Northwest. I do a lot of salmon fishing, a lot of steelhead fishing, sturgeon fishing when it's open, and this stays in my boat. I have an open 18-foot river sled, and it stays in my boat when I'm hauling the boat to the river, when I'm in the river, and it rains a fair share, and I don't get any of my equipment wet whatsoever. I also, on the front, when you lift this out and you have your drawers, notice that there's a lip going around it also too. So when that latches to it, it keeps the water from coming inside. You can literally spray this thing with water and it ain't gonna go inside. You might get a little bit in here in the holes, there's nothing to do about that, but it stays nice and dry inside of it. So you have 4 drawers. Stainless steel, everything, again 3/16. I did a smaller drawer up front, up the top. These are all come out and they move around to do whatever you want to do. So you can put, in this case, I've got some squid jigs in here. I've got my tape for when I'm fishing. I do a lot of pre-tying. I have a lot of pre-tied leaders. I took some stuff out of there. And again, if you notice, everything is solid teak. Everything is corner dowel. Now these corner doweling in here is all a wood called wingay, and real hard wood, real moisture resistant. So I did everything, as you notice, these are all 1/4 inch dowels in here, glued and then doweled through there. Everything is. So in this one, I've got my containers with my hooks in here, some swivels in here. I keep my weights and my sabikis down below down here, some weights for when you're yellowtail fishing things. But obviously, you know, we're all fishermen and everybody moves their stuff around and does what they want to do, you know, and makes their own tackle box, what they want out of it. Again, solid teak. I make a pattern when I cut the wood. This piece of wood, all 4 pieces all the way around, is from one piece, so you have matching grain going all the way around. I also was addressing the issue of it being up off the rail. In my boat, I have a wood floor, I have a wood boat, and it sets on the wood floor like that. I wanted it for all you guys that are going to be out there that are, you know, or they're going to be going offshore and it's spraying really heavy and you're getting a lot of spray on it, and maybe you're washing down your boat, your tackle box and stuff after your day of fishing. So you're up off the floor. You actually have 1 inch of clearance between here and the floor, and gives you just a nice wash down. You don't have to worry about the things getting stuck in your box and your box setting on the ground and staying wet underneath there. So a stainless steel hinge down below here also too. Oh,
3.
Okay, so I have 2 boxes. This is my offshore box, being that I live up here in the Northwest. I have my box for my salmon and sturgeon, steelhead fishing. So this box is actually set up because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that live in different parts of the world. You do different types of fishing, you have different types of lures, you have different setups. So I guess I wanted to show this to you, so show you how adapted for me. Now, I use the rod holders because, again, my boat is an open boat, and I set it in the back, and I set my spinning rods and my bait caster, my trolling rods. I put them all in there, and that way I can run with them. They're not on the floor, they don't get banged up, I don't have to do anything. And again, the leaders are up at the top up here, and this case, I have my leaders, I have my setups for spinning glows. Here's just a flasher for trolling. I keep a little sunblock in here, just things that you normally would keep in your tackle box. Little tool chest in here on this side, and then again it's just set up so that you pull it over, and this side I have a smaller Nomad for trolling up on the Columbia River. And then for fall fish, we do a lot of wobbler fishing. So my wobblers are all hanging down here. I actually have like 8 or 9 wobblers hanging in this one tray. And then I have another Nomad, small one right there. And still, I haven't even loaded it all up with all of them, but I have more room for stuff over there. Then on this side, we do a lot of fishing with quick fish. So I'll keep a good selection of quick fish in here, and where I can take them out and get what color I want. They stay nice and dry, they're nice and clean, and I can put my favorite colors in here with this. And again, if I decide to get bigger lures, some of you guys that are back there in different parts of the world are going to want to have different lures for different setups, so you can adapt these to make different stuff. And by the way, if you need something custom built, let's get together and talk about it, because I can build just about anything and make something adapt to that. And then in the front, again, the 4 drawers. So in this case, I keep all of my scents in the top in a plastic bag, because you guys all know what that's like, and they seem to leak all over everything. And here I keep my hooks, I keep some swivels, I keep that stuff back in here. I have some extra containers back here for things as I'm moving along. Then there's some salmon trolling jigs here, some spinning glows. We use a lot of spinning glows around here for steelhead and salmon in the rivers, Columbia River, the local rivers around here, beads, all kinds of stuff down below. And then again, at the bottom down here, I have divers right here. We use a lot of plug divers up here for steelhead also too, and salmon. And I keep them down here, various cannonballs, and I keep some smaller plugs in here, and then all my spinners are back in here also too. So it fits everything that I need in the Pacific Northwest for this, and then some. I could have some extra stuff, but I really don't need much more than I have in here now. So So for all you fly fishermen, jig fishermen, spinner fishermen that are out there, I built a couple of these for my boys. Both of them tie flies, tie jigs, tie spinners, and they have some pretty gnarly looking stuff that wasn't good. So I decided to put something together for them that would work for what they're doing. So I built them some fly boxes. What I did was, now this comes up magnetically. This is meant to be where there's a table and you're setting on the table. Then you have your vise, comes out and sets right there on it. And you can move your vise and tighten it either side, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, or which way you tie. I have a left-handed son who ties right-handed, and so you've got to where you can do all your stuff. And then I gave you 8 drawers that you can put all of your stuff in. Now I didn't go into being as much concerned about weather, because this is probably going to stay in the house. This is built out of redwood. I can build these out of anything, and they are glued together. They are sealed with lacquer, and again, stainless steel hinges in the back. The other thing was that they needed a lot of room for their stuff, tall stuff, so I gave them a 3.5-inch opening at the top so that they could put their jars of glue, their taller stuff that they needed. They could put them inside here and have everything inside as they needed it also too. So for all you guys out there who are fly fishermen or jigs or spinners, and you want a nice custom box to put in the house for everybody to look at and go, wow, this is beautiful and it's very, very functional, I do build these also too.